Good morning, everybody. It's Sunday, January 29th, 2023. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Good morning, Scarred Owl. Gosh, we're done with a month already, a month of 2023, and the pace is only going to pick up here. So welcome to our new Earth. So just for the sake of clarity for everybody, what I'm going to do here today is I'm going to talk a little bit about a couple of the transits that are going on this week. I'm not going to talk about the full moon in Leo. I did a separate video on that, so I hope you'll check that out. There are readings for all signs on that video. But for today, what we're going to do is these are based on whole sign Western astrology. So when I talk about Aries, I'm talking about Aries rising. But also I would check your moon. I believe that the moon is as important as your rising sign, as we are emotional beings and we manifest on our emotional body. And then your sun. And of course, if you have any stelliums, check those as well. Also, the timestamps are always in the comments a little bit after the show. Thank you, Small Wildflowers. So if for some reason I don't get to pinning them at the top of the comments, please check throughout the comments. Oftentimes I'm booked on Sundays after the show, and I don't get a chance to really be that good with my admin. What was the other thing I wanted to say? Oh, next Sunday, the show will be recorded. I am actually doing an event on Saturday night. And unlike most intuitives, when I do an event, I don't get tired. I get gassed up and I can't fall asleep. And if history repeats itself, I'll be falling asleep about 4 o'clock in the morning. So I'm going to record that show. So we won't be here live, but we'll be back the next week on Sunday at 11 a.m. Pacific. So great. Welcome. Hi, Small Wildflowers. Good morning, Margie. Good morning, Stacy. Thank you. I thought I rearranged this week. We'll start to talk about the transits. Venus moved into Pisces. And until the 19th of February, this is an excellent, excellent time to be creative, to start to, implement anything you want to do creatively, artistically. If you want to get your hair cut, if you want to get your nails done, if you want to, start a dream journal, that's a great thing you can do here. I just feel like this is going to be a really great month, and all the planets are moving forward. So where we felt a real stuttered and disconnected beginning of the year, like, oh my gosh, what's going on here? Now things are going to start to feel like they're moving very, very quickly. And I want to offer this because today, Mercury is 14 degrees Capricorn in an exact trine to Uranus at 14 degrees Taurus. And this is going to be influencing us until the beginning of February, the first day of February, second day of February, because we've got a 3-degree orb that I'm working with here. This is a great day to really start to make plans for anything you want to do that's Mercurial or Uranian, meaning writing, teaching, speaking, birthing something on the internet, actually maybe even recording videos and stockpiling them. It is a really good time for creative ideas, for sort of this innovative, maybe even a little bit outside of your normal box type of inspirations to come up. And if they do, I want to offer this, don't try to examine them too much. Allow them to flow, get in the practice of flow. I think it's a good week to build like a plan, like if indeed you want to birth something, let's say like every Sunday we're here. So you can make a plan, some sort of template. So you're actually implementing your personal skills. Again, Uranus in Taurus is about your personal skills, your voice, your expression, your hopes and your dreams being birthed into the world. And Mercury in Capricorn is going to give you the thoughts to be able to build that structure. Okay. Good morning, Gita. Good morning, Stephen. Good morning, Natalia. Good morning, CV and Dusk. It's great to see you. What did I want to say? So this is a good time for your creativity and your imagination. Seize the day. And this is also a good time to spruce up your environment. This is kind of, I didn't even realize, it was the 27th when Venus actually moved into Pisces. And one moment I'm vacuuming the floor, and the next thing you know, I'm rearranging the furniture and did a whole different setup. And as you can see, the background's a little different. The lighting is, haven't quite figured that out. Look like I'm in a cloud right now, but it is what it is. This is the other thing I think this week. I think that Venus is going to feel extremely playful and extremely dreamy and maybe even a little bit lazy here in Pisces. And so when we get towards around the 1st, I believe, let me look at my notes. I have a Mars is squaring Venus on the 2nd. And Venus will be around 8 degrees. Mars is at 10. And so we're going to have a couple of days as they get into a closer square where Venus is going to want to be sort of lazy and dreamy. And Mars is going to be like, look, I've been bunched up in retrograde in Gemini for such a long time. I want to burst forth with action. So we might feel a little bit of tension there. And I want to offer it this way, because if the tension is within yourself, your own Venusian and Mars energy, I personally am ruled by Mars, and yet my sun and my moon are both Venusian. They're both ruled by Venus. So sometimes I get these great creative ideas, and then I get really anxious to birth them. And sometimes I don't always give them their full process of fleshing out the idea or really looking at the structure. So just give yourself a little bit of moment if you're feeling that. Again, I always feel like the squares are very personal to my own growth. There's a part of me that wants to stay with the old way of doing things and the old way of thinking. And then there's this new part of me that wants to birth a much more empowered experience. And sometimes they feel like they're colliding. It is a little foggy here. I tried to put all the lights on in my apartment and I still couldn't, and my O-ring is on. You can kind of see it in my glasses. Haven't quite figured out the lighting. The lighting in the other window is actually better for recording, but I just thought I'd do something different today. All right, let's, was there anything else I wanted to say? Oh, this is the other thing I wanted to say. Around Valentine's Day, and I don't know if y'all are single or what your story is, but Venus in Pisces is coming very, very close to Neptune. In fact, they'll be exact on the day after Valentine's Day, at least here in the Pacific, at 24 degrees of Pisces. This is a day where I want to offer it this way. There's a lot of pressure put on Valentine's Day, and especially, Single Awareness Day, it's been called, and then those that are in relationships, want to really have that day be highlighted as something that makes them feel very special. This is a great day to focus on yourself, on your dreams, and on the love you give yourself, not always necessarily the love outside of yourself, because this energy is a urge to merge. Venus is going to be very much wanting to feel that Piscean commingling. And while all of that is great, I don't want it to have a reverse effect on you. If you happen to be single or your relationship is, seasoned and not quite in a heightened romantic place, love on yourself. We can all buy ourselves flowers. Oh my God, I can't believe I said that. Did you get it? Buy yourself flowers. Miley Cyrus. Oh, okay. I thought it was funny because that's been crashing my world. All right, let's get into our readings. We're going to start with our tarot card. We're going to start with with Aquarius. I lost myself for a second. I made myself laugh so hard because when Miley Cyrus's song came out, I swear to you, for a week, it was everywhere. It was cars driving down the street. Everybody had made a TikTok parody of it. And it was just, it's just everywhere. Oh my gosh, Lucy Rose, you don't know that Miley Cyrus just came out with a new song that's a parody of, it's a play off of Bruno Mars's I should have brought you flowers. That song? I can't remember. And held your hand. And so it's like this anthem of anger towards Liam, her ex-husband, Liam, whatever that young man's name is. Anyway, you'll figure it out. It's not hard to find the video. Well, this, I'll tell you, she got over 1 million hits um, on Spotify when this song came out. So um, it's just kind of it's the new trend and the rage. So I was trying to be funny. We might be a seasoned group, we're not in our 20s, a lot of us. Okay, so here we go. Let's start with Aquarius. Our tarot card for the week is the Eight of Pentacles. This is a card where you've already amassed a certain amount of material resources. You've worked on, this is the craftsman. He's now fine tuning and looking at the details of things. For my Aquarians, with Uranus making this aspect to Mercury this week, I think this is a wonderful idea to really look at where you want to fine tune your what you're creating. Really start to maybe even look, the eights in nature represent bounty and prosperity. So there may be things where you're wanting to add layers to something you're creating, or to build upon rather than to start fresh. Let's pull our spread and see what Spirit has to say for you here. Because now as Uranus, starts working forward through Taurus, your personal skills, Aquarius, and your trust of them and your willingness to kind of be on the leading edge and not necessarily look to previous traditional structures, let's say more Saturnian structures, to assess whether or not your idea or your path is viable. I really believe that a new earth is really where we are acknowledging each other's individuality in ways of celebration and support versus, oh, you're different than me kind of feeling. Let's see what Spirit has to say here. Because there's a feeling of rolling up your sleeves here. There's a feeling of taking real advantage of the idea that Venus has moved into Pisces, where she doesn't get to be that often. It's kind of like, it's almost as if Venus, when she's throughout all the other signs, while she enjoys herself, when she gets to be with her best friend, that's when, all the music comes out, all the good wine is poured, they reminisce and they're feeling fabulous. So I think that this is kind of allowing that energy rather than going into that nervous energy that sometimes happens. Okay, Aquarius. And did I say happy birthday? Our first angel is Teresa. The second is Caressa. The third is Athena. And the final is Xana. As I was saying that, or as I was pulling the cards, I also want to kind of give you early born Aquarians, you're going to have Pluto moving into your sign. And this is don't be scared of Pluto. Pluto can turn your life upside down, but in a really, really good way. So as you are paying attention to the details of what you want to create, how you want to amass more financial resources, you're going to be really much more ready for this transit, ready to receive its bounty. The reason I think that most people and astrologers talk about Pluto in such a challenging way is because Pluto destroys imbalanced human structures that we have become codependent on. And it's very much, if we think about it, oftentimes Plutonian events actually bring more balance and harmony. They usher in more Aquarian humanity, philosophical big pictures where everybody wins. So we really get to start to reverse Pluto's energy, because Pluto moving into the first signs of Aquarius could usher in a lot of money for you, a lot of bounty, a lot of good things. Chip Gaines, I talk about him often because he and Joanna started a network. They start off as two, home improvement people, construction, designer. The next thing you know, they have a whole brand. They have an empire. And all of this happened while the South Node has been going through Chip's sun sign. So I want you to start to think about these things with a little bit more intention and not look like these things are happening to you, but presenting opportunities. And for my Aquariuses, there's a part of you that's so intuitive, so out in space, sort of. And I don't mean it like you're not together here, but you're so forward thinking that you can have intuitive knowings that you don't necessarily connect to as intuitive, because you're thinking they're all making you nervous, but that nervousness is something that's going to is the beginning of your intuition being blossoming and being nurtured and growing. So this is really powerful. So Teresa was joined by Merlin, Caressa's being joined by the horse, Athena's being joined by the owl, and Xana is being joined by the cow. So here we start off with the opportunity to fine tune how I'm making my resources, my money, my bounty, and we end with protection and nourishment and bounty. So here is Merlin. Merlin talks about justice, alchemy, and balance, and Teresa talks about worrying about other people. One of the challenges of being an Aquarius is oftentimes you're so forward thinking and you're so genius that it feels as if you're not part of connected to this plane, to this earth experience. And I feel like this is an opportunity for you to express leadership, and not in a way that asks you to be responsible to others, but rather allows your natural 11th house hopes and dreams to flourish. And when you don't worry about other people, but you stay the course of your own dreams and get down to the nitty gritty of what those dreams have for you, you start to bring in balance and offer people around you opportunities to step up to the plate. Because now is, as you go your own way, this ends a chapter, and it could very well be a chapter of scarcity, a chapter where you felt disempowered or you felt mixed results. Like sometimes things were moving forward because, again, you've created all of this bounty. Now you're going back in and you're fine tuning it. When I first started astrology and I was being taught, I was taught in whole sign. As I fine tuned my astrology and my knowledge, I found that I preferred Placidus for individual and then whole sign for group, because it felt like I got more detail about the individual through Placidus and the degrees. And it was as a result of my studies. So here, in the angel's advice is Athena saying to lovingly assert yourself. And the owl is sort of the two sides of that assertion. It's like there could be a positive effect, quote unquote, or a negative effect. And this is where I go back to saying, just allow yourself to go your own way. Because as you go your own way, you're going to start to allow yourself to draw in those that are like you, or are at least in the same vibration of you. So you start to feel the connection that you may not have felt previously. Because here, Xana is saying you're protected from all types of harm, and now is an opportunity for bounty. If there was a card that represented Taurus, this would be Taurus. Where is your ruling planet? It is in Taurus, allowing you to really kind of blow up, to electrify, to individualize who you are and your talents, and then to really realize that the world is craving that sort of thing right now. We are craving to be seen for our individuality, to be accepted for our individuality, to shed the skin of our categories. You're American and you're Ukrainian and you're Black and you're white and you're poor and you're rich. We really are hues of all of these things in some ways. So as we move into this idea of allowing for our self-expression, which Aquarius does more so than anyone, it's like when you get to the 11th house, by the time you've been through all those 10 houses, you've been through so much human structure that there's a part of the soul that just wants to break free from that human structure. And then it goes into the 12th house of that karmic re-entry, or I should say collective re-entry. So I think there's bounty for you ahead. I think this is an opportunity to really start to look at the fine details of what you want to do or build upon, and start to feel an acceleration of that energy. This is a good month for that. Okay, let's go on to our Pisces. I'm going to do a video on Saturn moving into Pisces, which I think is going to be such a dramatic energy. When Saturn moved into Aquarius, I didn't feel a jarring energy, but Saturn co-rules Aquarius. So to me, it might feel like a more natural progression from Capricorn to Aquarius. When we get into Pisces, it's going to feel so different. And that's happening in March. So this month of moving forward now, we're on January 29th. And then as we move in through February, this is a great time to get all those ducks in a row to prepare for the acceleration. Okay. Now, for our Pisces, we have the Magician. The Magician is a very powerful energy. It's a mercurial energy. It represents as above, so below, which is what I focus on, what I think about, what I naturally vibrate on is what I am creating. So this is why I personally, Teri, don't like to try to be positive when I'm feeling negative, because to me, it feels so resistant that I'm actually adding more fuel to the negativity I'm feeling. So Pisces, I want to offer this. During this time, while your ruling planet of Neptune is starting to have a very fun and loving and dreamy conversation with her best friend Venus, this is really a time to recognize that you have all the tools that you need, all the creativity that you need, that the world and the universe is infinite in possibilities, infinite in its resources. And rather than trying to look outside of yourself as to where will those resources show up, where would that be, you staying in the present moment and enjoying this dreamy energy, enjoying the idea of using dance and song and other sort of creative expressions to hone your mind. That's what I think. Again, I want to emphasize that Mercury and Uranus are having at the 14th degree, which is the Taurus degree. So again, this is about building my skills, using my voice, expressing myself. And this week we have this, we'll go through, before they get too far apart, we have that orb that gives us this opportunity to take advantage of that harmonious energy, to kind of let the monkey mind of the Capricorn, how will I build it? How will I build it? And Uranus up here saying one little Lego at a time, So here you go. You just kind of examine the tools that you have, which ones you want to use, and then allow yourself to move the story forward in a very, I want to say, excited and joyful energy. All right, here we go. Our first angel is Fiona. The second is Opal. The third is Indriel. And the final is Bethany. Oftentimes I work with a lot of very creative people, and, creative people, inspiration is a big part of the creative process. You can't just sit down and blurt out creativity. I mean, you can get on a roll occasionally and pace yourself and set a schedule, but oftentimes there's a flexibility required within that schedule so that one can kind of play with the creative vibrations. Because what I want to say here, we're talking about Pisces. We're talking about really the law of attraction, what you're putting your focus. That would be the Magician, a mercurial energy, and this trine to Uranus, which is liberating you, giving you this electric feel. And with Venus in the house, there may be this real feeling of a little bit of doubting yourself, okay? Sort of, I can do it. I don't know. Can I? I can do it. I don't know. I can do it. I can do it. And I want to offer this to Pisces. try not to go too far down the road just yet. Try to remember that while the pace is accelerating, your willingness to be in the present moment is dictating every step of that acceleration. So Fiona says, now that you've asked God and the angels for help, be open to receiving. And there's the frog, the releasing of emotional baggage. Releasing is usually an integration of some kind that serves me. The next I have is the B, which is about victory. Then I have Indrio, the light worker, being joined by the burden card, and Bethany is being joined by the love card. Okay, so for my Pisces, this week we also have a square between Venus and Mars. And Mars wants to move forward. Mars is very blunt in its most challenging energy, and a little bit like, I don't really care, what you feel, how you feel, where you're going, blah, blah, blah. I just want to get going. And this is where I think that this is so important to remember the platform with which you're creating on. So here, Fiona says, now that you ask God and the angels for help, be open to receiving. And then we have this sort of jumping off of one lily pad into another. And this is where I start to, as my Pisces, I start to become aware of the difference between me being compassionate and empathetic to another situation, and when I inadvertently feel like I might be taking on the other person's energies. Because here there's an interesting feeling of, I've got Opal, which talks about children on heaven and earth, but I think this is your inner child. And I think you have an opportunity to really start to enjoy more aspects of your own personal experience. And I want to offer it this way, because I don't think that people who work in the financial world are not creative. I think that creativity is a natural way of being, and how we express it is varied beyond measure. Because there's a part of me that feels as if maybe Pisces right now feels an urge to, I almost want to say it this way. The magician is about birthing something into the material world. And the potential right now is that where you're birthing it is really, it's like there's a baton pass. So when I work on my stuff, I don't ever do a video without meditating first. It may be a 5-minute meditation, but I connect with spirit and say, draw to me the people who will best be served by my gifts and my talents. And I think this is part of your process. Having Venus in the house, creativity, imagination, fantasy, illusion, deception are on the table. And the deciphering between the two will be very advantageous to you, because Indriel is the light worker and we have the burden card. And this is where I kind of got the feeling that there's the potential that there are some aspects of this coming up this week that are triggering Pisces in some way. And maybe it's triggering someone else's response. Maybe it's triggering some things from your emotional past. Maybe it's triggering a sense of disconnection, because we end this with Bethany and with the love card. And this is where I think this is all about you doing you playing to what you want, you remembering that as above, so below is not a prison sentence. It's an opportunity. It's not about having to hold the right thought every minute of the day and never feel insecure or unsure. It's about just being able to work with spirit in the percentages, because spirit knows we're in this human dense shell, and this supports our unknowing. So we're not being held like by some big judge saying, if you're not perfect all the time, you're not going to benefit. So here, I think there's an opportunity for a couple things to happen. Number one, for you to be aware of your thoughts without criticism or judgment. Number two, to be aware of how much you're giving up of yourself to another or another situation. Number three, to see that sometimes when you're starting in creative endeavor, it's not just about you pushing everything forward, but a baton pass between you and creative inspiration. And that's what I think is going to happen now. And just sometimes it's time to relax. So sometimes for me personally, when I get all, like what's my next inspiration? I've done my moon cycles. I've done this, I've done that. And I like to clean. I don't clean because I'm a clean freak. It's just something about the motion. It's very wax on, wax off for me, very Karate Kid. And then I find myself when I have my hands in water, I become inspired by things because it's, of course, very inconvenient to write anything down. So I just feel like that's what's going on this week. And I also want to kind of point out that this character is illuminated with yellow energy, which is the solar plex chakra. And there are flowers and bounty all around him as he is aware of this and aware of his thoughts do become things. But instead of holding himself to the fire of human perfection or the perception of what humans want to be, which is perfect. He understands the ebb and the flow and what failure and what disconnect and what those more disruptive energies have to offer. Hope that made sense for you, Pisces. We are on to our Aries. And in no short order, we will see Venus entering Aries, joining Jupiter and joining Chiron. And that is all going to be able to transform the wound Chiron into the gift, bringing bounty and realigning my sense of self. All right, let's look and see. Aries. I love this card. Money, 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 money. Solid. This is the King of Pentacles. You can see it represents Taurus. Hey, everybody. Hey, Sandy. Welcome. Did I say hi, Betty? I said hi to Gita. Hi, Tebow. Okay, I'm just going to say this. I did not move, you guys. This is actually the 20th year I've lived here. I just moved my table, and it happens to be a cloudy day, so you can see better. I still think the lighting is terrible, but I wanted to share the view with you. Okay, because I thought, you might like it. Yeah, I've been very, very... I've been loving my home a lot lately. Okay, so this is what I want to say for my Aries, okay? Because Aries, this card right now to me says a lot because first of all, Taurus is a fixed sign. So I believe that while I'm not really referring to a rigidity right now, there's something that you've been building for a long time that is going to start to show fruit. And I know that Aries, ruled by Mars, has been frustrated with this 7-month stint in Gemini that has not felt as productive as maybe Aries would like. But this has been about teaching or reminding Aries how to be inspiring. You rule inspiration, you rule passion, you are a very, you're a polarizing energy sometimes, Aries, because when you don't like somebody, you could be really just a complete, flick them off and, be very dismissive. But when you like people, people are drawn to you. They're drawn to your courage. They're drawn to your confidence. They're drawn to your heroism. So when you stand in that and you walk in awareness of that, then how you interacted with others will start to be much more fruitful for you. And that's what I believe this 7-month stint in Gemini has been about. How do I think? How do I speak? How do I interact with my neighborhood, the people around me? I cannot tell you how many people have called me an old lady in the last 6 months. Literally, I'm randomly walking down the street and somebody just makes a comment. And the good news is I'm aware that Mars is in Gemini, so people are going to speak with snark. And I just thought to myself, as this has happened to me, number one, I get to adjust to this season in life, which I haven't adjusted to. And number two, I also thought this is really great for me to be aware that this aggression is coming out of Mars's frustration and people are yapping out their mouth. And it doesn't necessarily mean I have to engage. So every time that somebody has been a certain way that I used to react to, I am now taking thoughtful action, which is bringing more bounty to me in the long run. Because I think something is really powerful going on for Aries. I want you to pay attention because, you have until May when Jupiter's expansion will move into Taurus, but at the same time, Chiron is still going to stay in Aries for a while longer. So there's going to be this opportunity to sort of anchor in this sense of your own self, creating something that gives you roots to believe that it's solid and it's sustainable and it will continue to grow. We don't want to just think the planets are dictating things. The planets are an environment that we walk through, and they offer us opportunities for us to play to the higher elevations of that planet's vibration or to the lower vibrations. And the human naturally goes to the dark side because we're trained that way. We're trained to think that things aren't easy. Money doesn't grow on trees. No good deed doesn't go unpunished. So now you have an opportunity to play a different game with these planets and have them cooperate with you in a way that brings bounty for others and for yourself, bounty through their observation of you. Okay. Ma'am, I don't mind the ma'am part. I adjusted to the ma'am part. I mean, I'm having straight up people like call me elderly and old lady and like, ugh. Anyway, it's true. So I shan't fight it anymore. All right, Aries. Rochelle says, as you honor and follow the guidance of your heart, bounty is coming to you. Rochelle is being joined by Maya. Then we have Xana. Then we have Isabella. Okay, Rochelle is being joined by the Fear card. Maya's being joined by the Grail Knight. Xana's being joined by the High Priestess. And Isabella is being joined by the Swan. When I look at the King of Pentacles, I also can very much see the Taurus skills and the little bit of unsureness I have. Are my skills viable? Will people like me? Will they buy my products? Will they buy my services? Will they respond to me? What will happen? And this fear here, when you follow your heart, is very much the opportunity. I absolutely 100% believe that fear is the emotion that allows us to feel or offers us or opens the door for acceleration, accomplishment, exhilaration. Everything that feels super yummy and wonderful about us as humans is encased in fear in some way. And as we walk through that fear, and we are tenacious to do so, and Aries is tenacious, there is bounty had. Because here is the Grail Knight, which is about seeking the sacred within yourself. And here is Maya, and you're learning something about seeking the sacred within yourself. This last year, more so than before, when I started my work for myself, I had more doubt about the viability, more unsureness, watching the environment around me become more restricted and tense, and money going up or out and not a lot coming back in. And at the same time, I kept digging deep into my Aries rising, asking myself the hard questions. Do you believe you're valuable? Do you believe you're falling apart? Do you really? And I kept saying, no, I don't think so. No, I don't think so. Because Xana is telling Aries you're protected. And here's that deep part of yourself that you get to play to. Because the outside world may look like a you-know-what show, but it is absolutely starting that divine disruption that leads to more innovation and more individual expression and more acceptance. So yes, Isabella is saying the timing is right for Aries to embrace this transformation. And in doing so, more bounty is coming to you. You will draw in opportunities that you can't see with your eyes right now. And so this alignment to your heart and to sort of say, all right, fear, I see you. And I know you're there, but you're not winning this game. I happened to catch the end of The Last Jedi yesterday before I went into some sort of Disney movie. You got it, Small Wildflowers. That's what I was saying. But there, Yoda and Luke Skywalker were somewhere where Yoda ended up bringing down this lightning bolt and destroying all the Jedi sacred scrolls where all the knowledge had been kept. And it was kind of interesting to watch the scene. I had to replay it because Luke initially had threatened to do that very thing, and then Yoda came in and set the lightning bolt, and then Luke freaked out. Okay, he's like, no, we can't lose this stuff. And what Yoda was saying is, it's all inside of you. It's inside of Rey. It's inside of the Jedi naturally. You, Aries, are a natural Jedi, and it's all inside of you. So when fear comes up, all you get to do is go into your heart and ask yourself that deep question. Will I win or will I lose? No, I'm not going to lose, because I'll go down intending. I'm not going to say fighting. Okay, here we go. On to our Tauruses. Taurus, you should be preparing for Jupiter's entry into your house, because wow, wow, wow. What an opportunity after the nodes have been moving things around for you, moving any codependency out with the South Node opposing your sign, and then giving you this ravenous passion for wanting to be individualistic and expressing yourself. Now we have the Five of Swords this week. Okay, this is an interesting energy. Let's see where this is at, because the Five of Swords it's a victory of some kind, but it's also there's an edge to this. There's sort of a FU on this. This guy is not leaving this energy with these two other men with there's no resolution here. There's still conflict. So let's see what's going on here. And those of you Taurus, rising moon, sun, and stelliums that are like mid-Taurus degrees, this year is very powerful for you, because this is where Uranus is focusing in on those degrees. And this is where your hopes and your dreams have opportunities through the destruction of old structures that were actually crutches. And that might be part of what this energy is, because, Taurus, like all of the fixed signs, does not truly enjoy having a lot of unfamiliarity. And yet familiarity oftentimes is a double-edged sword of holding you back. Okay, Sonia is a message from your guides. Archangel Raphael is here. The Patience card is here. And Serena, the angel of abundance, is here. Sonia is being joined by the restriction card. Archangel Raphael is being joined by the forgiveness card. Patience is being joined by the goblin. Bubble up. Serena is being joined by the dragon. All right, so Taurus, I want to offer you this. I'm a Taurus moon. So, and I'm a 9-degree Taurus moon, so I feel a little bit of relief that Uranus has moved off of me. But I want to say this: Uranus was key and instrumental when it transited over my rising sign. I started my work as an individual entrepreneur, and I feel right now that there's a potential that Taurus is ready to build. You're ready to move on. You're kind of sick of where you've been. And if this Five of Swords is sort of playing to the Mars in transiting Gemini, which is technically your second house, you may have been feeling contempt for how you are making your money, or the lack of acknowledgement for your skills. And I want to offer it this way, because with Mars's transit, it will create a frustration. It will create you've got Gemini, which is a fast moving house, if the house moves, sign. And we have the idea that Mars wants to move forward. Now we have Taurus having Uranus kind of wanting to blow bombs up and like move things around. And yet there's been something that's been pulling back and not letting it happen. And that, I think, is a result of what was happening the end of last year. Now we have all the planets moving forward. So there's something divine about the restriction. There's something, don't look at my manicure, it's still bad. There's something divine. And I guess what Spirit is asking is for you to look at this bit of contempt, this bit of annoyance, this bit of, I'm so sick of this crap and I don't want to do it anymore. And maybe relax a little bit about it, because there is an idea, an epiphany, something coming that you're not aware of. There's the forgiveness card. And then we have the patience card, which is gathering information and awaiting an opportunity. Don't edge God out by getting cranky. Let me kind of put it this way. There is very much a possibility. I was inundated this first part of this year with people wanting me to hire them as my virtual assistant. I must have gotten 10 to 15 emails a day. And so there's this people wanting to move the story forward. There's something that has not happened for you. And maybe this has been part of the Uranus retrograde. Now Uranus is moving forward. All the planets are moving forward. As you step back out of that sort of, well, this is how it happened. This is what happened. This is the history. Let me tell you all about the history. You will start to see a wisdom. That Spirit, you just said it, Lucy, rejection is protection, because I think that you will only see this in hindsight. And it could be that, a previous relationship that you had, maybe, who knows, let's say someone you worked with and then they left and it's been, I haven't seen them in a year, and then you're all disgruntled in your job. And then out of nowhere, this person reaches out to you. That's not, if that happened in a Mercury retrograde or a Mars retrograde, it may not come to fruition at that time, because you have something to learn, I think, through observation about edging God out. Just being able to, Taurus, ask yourself the question, maybe there's something bigger going on here. Maybe this isn't all about me, my skills, and who I am, because those of us that are vulnerable to, like Taurus rules our family history. If in your family history you were the troubled child or the troublesome child, you may default to the old story and then project that story onto all the situations around you when none of that is happening. Because Serena is the angel of literal financial abundance. And here's the power and strength card in the dragon: calm. Calm, calm, calm. There's something going on. The baton passes in Spirit's hands, and you can't always see all the players on the chessboard. So when you kind of surrender that, rather than trying to look and see where whatever you need will happen. This is one of the things I said to Spirit when I was going through this last few months. I said, when I was just starting out, I didn't know where my resources would come from. I didn't know where my opportunities would be. So I didn't try to identify them. And then once I started to see them, then I would be inadvertently keyed into, well, they haven't called and they haven't booked and this hasn't happened. And that's the energy that actually breeds the contempt. So Taurus, you're being stretched. And that Venus and that Venus square to Mars could be part of what's going on. So go back to Venus playing in Pisces and let your imagination and let your ruling planet soothe you as you rest and relax and retreat a little bit, versus maybe trying to push the story forward, like a bulldozer. Wait for that inspired action. All right, Gemini. The Emperor is here. This is Aries energy. This is the Ram. This is, I always think the Emperor sort of supersedes the King. The Kings are in the minor arcana, but the Emperor and the Empress is in the major arcana. So this is very Aries energy. It's very brave. It's very courageous in some ways. Let's see where this is being required. All right. All right. Gemini. Ray is your first angel. The second is Ariel. The third is Xana. And the final is Desiree. I'm almost, the minute I saw this Emperor card, it made me wonder if it wasn't a timing something, like if something wasn't going to transpire during the season of Aries for you. Aries is your 11th house of networks, hopes, and dreams. Ray is being joined by the Earth Fairy. Ariel is being joined by the Grail Knight. Xana is being joined by the Perception card. And Desiree is being joined by the Goblin. Okay. So, Gemini, you're a thinker. You're a big thinker. You're a double thinker. You're a triple thinker. And the challenge of the Gemini Sagittarius axis is that Gemini can get a little caught up in the information and everyday conversations. Right now, everyday conversations are scary. Everyday conversations are all about, masks and germs and disempowering energies that are going to make us feel like everything around us is crumbling. And I feel like, first of all, I do think something's going to happen for you. And I don't know why I'm saying this, but around Aries season, something's going to pop for you. And at this moment, I think this Earth Fairy is about taking care of yourself mentally, letting yourself have a break. Don't try to think too much. Don't connect to spirit. Your power during this time, because it's a transitional period where you cannot actually do anything. If indeed something has been going, let's think about this. Mars is in your first house, making your life a little bit, miserable. I say that with love, but you're a pretty easy breezy cover girl, and there's Mars all bunched up in your house, going, I can't move. And so I feel like this could have created mental stress for you. And so here, a little meditation, a little dream time, a little bit of enjoying Pisces energy. Pisces is your 10th house. So even taking a break from worrying about work and worrying about, if everybody's happy around you, maybe it's time to worry about if you're happy around you. Because here's the Grail Knight, and I really am keying into him taking a bow to spirit, having a hand on something. Maybe there's something that you can't do anything about, and you can't even change your viewpoint of it because the actual situations are presenting themselves over and over again to prove to you that you're right about whatever you're thinking. But at the same time, I think you're being protected from whatever that little bit of your monkey mind is doing. It was always like this. It's always been like this. My boss is always an idiot, whatever the word is. I'm trying not to use cuss words because there could very well be something brewing behind the scenes that you don't know anything about. And if indeed you're coming up against some sort of energy that has been like a brick wall for you, blocking you, and it feels immobile, this is truly where spirit has opportunities to do things that you couldn't imagine. And you being able to take, maybe a little bit of this Emperor's energy is to be courageous and brave in not trying to manage it right now, fix it or reconcile it, but rather stepping back from it and letting the universe do something that you yourself could not do. And this would be a really great practice for your physical health, to be able to be aware of your mind and not try to extinguish it, but rather distract it through more enjoyable things. Again, your perception of things is not particularly completely clear. One of the challenges of the Piscean energy, is a little bit of deception and lies, because the fog, you don't see things clearly. And with Venus and Neptune coming together in your house of career, you may inadvertently be thinking, I'm not seen, people don't see me, they don't value me. And you may not know the eyes that actually see you and do value you. So your willingness to sort of step outside of what is physically available for you to connect to will help you realign your perception so that spirit can create an opportunity for you to stand a little more as the emperor in your life, meaning more courageous to, in a moment, say, in my Gemini energy, in my mercurial mind, is this actually happening? Is this the real road or something else happening? Sorry, my dog's having a dream and he's like having a loud dream. Okay, let's go on to our Cancers. Rising moon, sun, and stelliums. All right. Cancer, the sun is coming out. This is very Leo energy. It's very positive. It's very vital. But as you can see, front and center is a childlike energy that requires a vulnerability and a little bit of, the nakedness of this child. And this child is absolutely genderless. Feels to me as if it's saying that within my physical apparatus, one of the requirements for the sun to shine is for me not to categorize or to pigeonhole or to put anything in a box right now. Okay. Meaning, in some respects, you may not be able to see how the sun is going to shine and how things are going to grow because you may inadvertently, there's a wall back here. I don't know if you noticed that cinder block wall. And that sometimes we have to remember that the wall is behind you, not in front of you. And with Pluto opposing you for such a long time, you may have had a little bit of challenges there. Let's look and see. Our first angel is Layla. The second is Aurora. The third is Rosetta. And the final is Archangel Uriel. Year of the Wabbit. Layla is being joined by the horse. Aurora is being joined by the high priestess. Rosetta is being joined by the letting go card. And Archangel Uriel is being joined by the eagle. This is going to sound a little funky because, when I look at this, I feel like I'm talking to a couple of age brackets. And I say that because I feel as if there could potentially be those that are of childbearing years that may have been endeavoring to bring children forth and that hasn't happened. And I want to offer it this way because if you know the transits and and you believe that your natal chart is your contract, then you could imagine a lot of the souls being incarnated right now may not want to have, Saturn conjunct Pluto or, Saturn, in Aquarius, who knows whatever the dynamics are, because there's something bigger going on here. And if you have not been able to birth or to experience what it is you've been trying to grow, there's a part of you that I must say, again, Layla talks about connecting with spirit. And the horse is about accepting help and delegating authority to spirit. And oftentimes what we don't realize is that every thought is two thoughts. First is the inspired thought. Then there's the, how am I going to do there? Where is it going to come from? I need to go on Bumble. I need to, go on seniormatch.com. I need to go get IV. I need to, this is where I think everything is running amok. We're in the year of the wabbit. That's right. The wabbit is a very, very prolific animal, and it doesn't have to effort in order to be prolific. It's simplistic, the rabbit. So here, I believe that Cancer, the sun is being offered to you, but there's a vulnerability required by you to not look to see where those results are or to take measurements, because you taking measurements is just frustrating you. So now that you've told spirit what you want, stop staring at the clock. Stop staring at the pot. that's not going to help the time go. Have you ever stood in front of the microwave for a minute waiting for the damn thing to go off and it feels like you've been there for an hour? And then if you go run and do something, that minute flies by, because the vision you have for your life, what you want to experience, it will come about. But oftentimes, Aurora, her energy is really more about a challenge that precedes that flying high, something where you are an inspiration to others, not because things happened effortlessly for you, but because you were tenacious within your belief system to continue to move forward. Because when I look here, and here's Rosetta, talks about parenting, teaching, talks about having children. It's also a childlike innocence. And there's the letting go of fear. And I feel like this is the challenge. When we ask spirit for something, are we really asking authentically with a belief like it's going to happen? Or are we asking in a pleading energy as if it's fear-based, or as if we are not deserving of something? Because here we have Archangel Uriel, which is about frustration. It's about frustration. It's about anger. It's about unforgiveness. Now we have the Eagle, which is actually, there's a bigger picture going on for Cancer. If you've wanted to get married, if you've wanted to, birth some things that maybe you waited in life, maybe you decided, I'm going to focus on my career, and now you've gotten to a certain age and you're having a little bit of a meltdown about it. I feel like if your most powerful thing you can do is take that off the table and know that if you have a desire to experience something, if you have a desire to experience marriage, motherhood, fatherhood, couplehood, growing old with somebody on a rocking chair, it's all doable for you. Now, part of your challenge is as a Cancer, because this is the big kind of square in your energy, is the nurturing of others versus the nurturing of yourself. And if part of your dream is to nurture others, then you get to nurture yourself by believing that dream is viable, by believing that regardless of what outside circumstances say to you right now, that this is viable. And then I go to Hilary Swank, who's 48 years old and having twins. There is, in ancient times, we did not worry about fertility the way we do now. We've made it a business, and women, were more embarrassed by acknowledging they were still having sex in their 40s than they were, worried about getting pregnant. And so nowadays women have rewritten their stories, and now there's a subtle feeling of punishment behind it. So if that's something you've wanted, and I don't know if you don't have to be a woman to want to have children, but I'm using that because they're the natural carriers of little people. So here there's a releasing, there is a surrendering to the baton pass, and to be aware of how you are connecting with spirit. Am I connecting in a way that is vulnerable and trusting, or am I connecting in a way that is angry and frustrated because I haven't seen it yet with my eyes? And if indeed I'm angry and frustrated, and that's the vibration that I am rippling out into the universe, does it align with what I want? Because you cannot find the solution and experience it while focused on the problem, no matter the genre. Let's go on to Leo. I'm a pig. I'm a piggy. Okay. For our Leos, we have the moon. Now, I think that's very interesting that the sun came out for Cancer and the moon came out for Leo, because the sun is exalted or is ruled. The sun rules Leo and the moon rules Cancer. And here we have this sort of reversal. And maybe what we're looking at here is a little bit of role reversal, meaning for my Leos, now maybe a time to really surrender to your emotional body, to not look at confusion by what you see with your eyes, but rather allow what people may not naturally think of Leo as intuitive. If we think of you as creative, the performer, the romance, we think of these things, but we don't always give life that each one of the signs has its own intuitive body. And here with the moon, it's not only your intuition, but I also feel like there's the potential that you have there are certain emotions that you're enslaved to, that you've been imprisoned by. And this is an opportunity to really start to allow the moon to serve a new purpose. See the silos in the background and the little windows. There's a feeling of maybe there's old emotions somewhere that Leo has been holding on to, and it could be a time to say, is this serving me? Hi, Jen. Good to see you. Gita, are you a bunny? Oh, then you're going to have a prolific year, girl. All right. Oops. Let's see. All right, Leo. Our first angel is Rosetta. The second is Indriel. The third is Layla. And the final is Aurora. Well, that's interesting because for the Cancer, we just got 3 of 4 of these cards and we got the Sun. Well, very interesting. It's almost like the universe is saying to Cancer, don't give in to your emotions and go down that dark path. Let the sun shine. And it's like Spirit is saying to Leo, don't roar too loud when you're angry. Allow yourself to emote. Allow yourself to emote, but in a balanced way, meaning in a way that allows others to comfort you. All right. Rosetta's being joined by the Mystery card. Indriel's being joined by the High Priestess. Layla's being joined by the Owl. And Aurora's being joined by the Focus card. One of the challenges of Leo is, to trust your heart, to have the courage that if you put yourself on that stage and the audience is out there, that they will applaud, and sometimes you can get in your head about that a little bit. So this is where I'm going with this, because Rosetta represents parenting and teaching. It represents working with children. And then there's the Mystery card here. And here I feel as if there's something that makes me feel as if potentially there could be a confusion. Now, we know that Saturn's been opposing Leo. And if you're a late degree Leo, it's opposing you now. I think it's at 25 degrees, something like that. And I want to offer it this way because there's the potential that what the moon is representing is a deep emotional underbelly that could be inadvertently getting in your way. And now what you get to do is to kind of choose to be a little bit more frivolous, like a child. Children run around outside with fairy wings on and colored lights, and we celebrate them as ballerinas and superheroes. And then when we get to be a certain size and a certain adult age, we don't really allow. Then we start looking at people and we say they're crazy. The reason I say this is because I think the moon could be representing feeling imprisoned by a certain amount of leadership or adulthood. And maybe there's something you can't quite get over. And that's okay. But because I can't get over anything emotionally either, but I can ask myself if it's current, if it's getting in the way, how I can use it as a tool. Because I don't know that I think this is about parenting and teaching as much as it feels like the potential of a childhood wound that inadvertently Leo is bringing into the future by sticking to it. And it doesn't mean that the wound is not viable and not true. It just kind of have to ask yourself if it's true now, because the High Priestess and Indriel are 2 very strong energies of connection to spirit and allowing yourself to see the wisdom of some of the more challenging dynamics. So, I want to offer it this way, because no matter what the emotional underbelly is, this is an opportunity for you to shift that, but you have to make the choice. And again, here we have a fixed energy and the sign of romance, the sign of creativity. Leo is extremely sensitive. I think because their energy is so charming and so on and so visible, we don't see their vulnerability right away. And now that you've asked God and the angels for help, now is a time to fall on one side of the fence or the other. And when I say that, if I'm going to continue to use, when I was a young girl, I used to be in a lot of singing groups. I lived with my mom. My mom was extremely physically abusive. My dad was not physically abusive. So as a child, he appeared to be the more benign parent, but he said things that were very damaging. And there were two creative things I was doing. One was the singing, and he said something negative about my voice, and I never sang again. And I quit all of my singing groups. I never got over that. And to this day, I can hold a tune, but I don't allow myself to really project because I have a fear or a worry of criticism. Somewhere in your childhood, there's somebody said something to you that messed you up a little bit, or made you doubt yourself and or made you doubt your confidence. And I think it's time to put that back in there where it belongs and allow yourself, because Aurora says you're flying high right now. Don't descend. You'll soon inspire others. And then there's the focus card. And I want to offer it this way because I don't tell you, I mean, thank you, Betty, for saying that. But, I chose my parents. I own my co-creation. And maybe all of those experiences were so I would have, this much knowledge and be this determined and this much of an individual, because I think that's what Leo gets to do. What's important to you? What do you want? Are you letting yourself be imprisoned by your emotional story, or will you let it rise you up to be the leader that you have the potential to be? So I hope that helps you, because again, when it comes to the zodiac signs, Leo is the leader, and Leo rules the most fun things of the zodiac. So, let your leadership flag fly. You don't have to be, you don't have to be perfect at something. Sometimes we just enjoy watching people try. We applaud their efforts. Okay. Do you guys remember the guy that tried out? I think it was on America's Got Talent, Hu Shang Wu, and he sang super funny. And he became like a one-hit wonder for a little while, I can't remember. It was either that or American Idol. It might have been American Idol. But he was not a very good singer. I think a lot of parents in certain generations were the way they were, And now I think that we see a boomerang in some of the way the younger generations are being raised, We'll come into balance. Okay. All right, Virgo. Here is the Two of Cups. Very strong Leo energy. It's also an exchange of energy and a partnership of some kind. And we infer love when we look at this because of the Leo energy. And we also infer a sense of feeling whole and complete because of the intertwining energy of the snakes, or whatever that symbol might be that's underneath the lion. So let's see where we're going with this. Lucy Rose, I get it. I don't know completely. I still have moments of, I don't know if it's unforgiveness. Today is actually the day that my dad died January 28th at 10 p.m. in the evening. So I woke up at 2:00 in the morning on January 29th with a phone call. And immediately, 12 years ago, was driving up to LA to sit in my stepmother's house and start to process the loss of that energy in my life. And it's very interesting to me because I still have a lot of unresolved issues. And when I peel them back, I don't know if they're really with that man or if they're with myself, because a lot of it was, did you see me? And when I'm focused on, did you see me? I have to ask myself the question, do I see myself? Because oftentimes, once we recognize ourselves and our talents and our willingness to be fabulously flawed humans, because that's what we are. There's no perfect, there's no destination. It's just a series of choices banging around on a rocky highway. All right, Virgo. Our first angel is Ariel. The second is Indriel. The third is Serena. And the final is Grace and Antoinette. Well, my dad was a Virgo too, by the way. Isn't that interesting? Oh, Stephen. Well, I think that's interesting now that you're a teacher, because maybe it was that feeling that was part of the inspiration to have you move forward. Ariel is being joined by the Earth Fairy. Indriel is being joined by the Joy card. Serena is being joined by the King. And Grace and Antoinette is being joined by the Wasp. Well. All right, so let's just look at this a little bit, because here we have Virgo. Virgo rules perfection. It rules, it could be a little critical sometimes. And I wonder if there isn't some self-criticism going on here, or expectations of certain things of oneself that maybe you haven't experienced yet. Because when I look at the Earth Fairy and I look at Ariel, it's two different things. This is very much about my spiritual gifts, my connection to the other side, and this is very much about my physical body and the earth with which I walk on. And then when I look at the Two of Cups, I'm wondering here if I don't see a little bit of maybe that part of this connection is not just it's not a physical connection, but rather here we have this lion with wings that's over these two people. There's a part of me that starts to think, I wonder if indeed this isn't more of a connection and bringing your spirituality into the earth plane in a more solid way. And that is expressed as you come into cooperation and relationship with the things that you love. Because here we have Indriel and the Joy card. And I absolutely 100% believe that a new earth, the Aquarian age, is where we start to realize our thoughts are things. And as we play to that game, we are not afraid of our co-creation, but rather playing to its highest vibration. And when we do that, we bring in abundance. And will there always be polarizing energies, those that are stuck in the earth place that say, I have to work hard to make this happen? And then those that represent a whole new way of being. Because for my Virgos, serenity and justice is coming. Serenity in the form of material resources. And here is balance, male authority. There is a feeling of karmic reconciliation. Now, I want to offer it this way, because as a Virgo, you have a lot of energy up here. Your mind goes very quickly. You contemplate, you process, you assess certain things, and you analyze it. And your natural tendency is going to be to analyze it from the experience of your earth, what you have walked on this plane. Okay. Now, Spirit is going to ask you and task you on some level to step up out of that earthly experience and start to use Mercury's energy to support a forward-thinking idea. Now I'm going back to the trine that is happening today and will continue to be in play for the next few days, as Mercury is at 14 degrees Capricorn, making an exact trine to liberating and inspiring through sort of this electric way, Uranus. And this is why I feel as if for my Virgos, where I'm going with this is, if this idea feels like I should have thought of this, I should have known that, I shoulda, coulda, woulda, don't go there. It's not serving you to go there. You come together and you have your awarenesses when you have them, because this is a little challenging for me. And this is where I come into the Virgo kind of critical energy. This is compassion, and this is being pissed off. And I think there's the potential that you need to have compassion for yourself, as you may realize that there are certain things that you've been pushing up against that are really out of your hands at this point. There's really little that you can do to think your way through it. Exactly, small. And this is exactly where I think spirit is like, this is about coming together with the things you find enjoying. This is about coming together and knowing of you can't run around the zodiac and get everything you need by yourself. There's a baton pass. So when you go have fun, when you go do something enjoyable, and you bring in an energy of allowing the universe to work for you, focusing on that, it becomes your karmic justice to feel not only bounty but serenity through it. But at first, it's not going to be easy because you're imprinted as a mercurial person to try to think your way through from this physical experience. And that's just an imprint from thousands of years ago. And that's why we're going through all of this now. It appears so disruptive, but it's a layer of illumination and freedom. And without Pluto's influence to blow up those repressive structures that have made us feel so faux safe. Is it safe to work 40 hours a week at a job that barely pays enough for your bills, and you have nothing but chores to do on the weekends and don't have enough money to go really have fun or go to that concert? Those aren't structures that actually serve us. Those are imprisoning us. All right. Here we go, Libra. And thank you very much for the infusion of money. I like money. Money is freedom. That's, Lucy Rose, why I always say that fear is such a valuable energy, because fear actually lives when the nothing of value is ever easy. It's actually that energy right there. And that will it be easy? Won't it be easy? Am I assessing from human structure, or am I assessing from spirit's point of view? Because the human will always tell you it's not easy. You better pound that damn pavement. You better get out there and look for a job. I asked spirit so many times this last year, should I go get a job? Should I go work at Earth Cafe? And they would laugh at me. I literally saw almost like this guffawing, imagining me standing behind the barista or behind, an apron, and trying to go back to the old ways I made money, when I know that when I'm vibrationally aligned, I'm perfectly viable right where I am. And so this is where we're all shifting to. We're shifting to be aware of that vibration that allows for bounty. And that bounty will bring balance. And it will bring balance because we will understand when we're in that shadowed space, when we don't know what's going to happen, the balance comes from going within. And that's why, Libra, this is going to be so much fun for you. Okay, let's look. Tivo, you are too funny. Oh my goodness. Okay, Libra, the first angel is Chantal. The second is Aurora. The third is Caressa. And the final is Astera. Chantal is being joined by the Burden card. Aurora is being joined by the High Priestess. Caressa is being joined by the Partnership card. And Astera is being joined by the Water Fairy. Okay, so when I look at the Ace of Pentacles, it's never big money. It's the infusion of material resources that start me moving on the path to my secret garden where my dreams are. Now I have Chantal, the angel of romance, of passion, and I have the burden card. And I want to offer it this way because Venus rules Libra and Venus has been in Aquarius. And, I don't know if Venus likes to be in Aquarius. She feels a little odd in Aquarius. She's like, sometimes she wants to wear blue hair and be funky and different. And other times she just wants to be loved and cuddled. And so up until now, I feel like there's the potential that the Venusian energy within you is wondering if your dreams are viable. Will they come to fruition? Am I lovable enough, for lack of a better term? Am I viable enough? Are people finding me cooperative enough, passionate enough, blah, blah, blah? Because the burden card feels as if I'm looking outside myself, Libra. And I want to offer it this way because I have, the only thing I like about getting older is my resolve. The older I get, the more experiences I have that give me the resolve to stay through those challenging moments. Because Chantal is about trusting that if you love it, you will experience it. Somebody just said, nothing that's meant for you will pass you by. And I think Small said that. There you go. Yeah. And I want to offer it this way because that's the focus that you get to have, the attraction of what you need and want, and that your secret garden isn't so secret. And I want to offer it this way because I don't think Libra wants anything that anybody else doesn't want, is peace, harmony, connection with others, joy, fun, comfort, cozy pillows, and popcorn in a good movie. So here, Aurora is saying, stay the course, and stay connected to your inner being. Know your inner being is actually the loudest part of you. The part of you that you can't see is the part of you that holds the space for you when you can't see. So here, Caressa is saying you're at the end of a life cycle, that new happiness awaits you. And then there's the partnership card. Now, I'm a Libra sun, and I've no, romantic interests on the books or in the pike that I am aware of. But I will say this. A lot of people have approached me recently for various endeavors. Some I've been a little snarky to, and others I embraced. Vibrationally, I was just feeling it. And so I want to offer it this way because something is coming for Libra that will bring more physical bounty, more material resources or opportunities. And part of your challenge, I think, Libra, is to remember that you get to love it. Don't be cooperative for the sake of people pleasing or to help others, but to see yourself as part of the mix, an important part of the mix, a key part of the mix. Because Estera is saying to reach for the stars with your dreams and desires, and there's your emotional body. And this is in direct relation to what you love and burden. And I offer it this way, because if for some reason you are being approached for some sort of cooperative endeavor and you don't love it, you don't want to be involved in it, do not do it because you feel obligated to do it. This would be a very challenging energy and would only create more disruption for you as the Libra. And I think that this is an opportunity for Libra to also sort of assess things and your partnerships from that place of, how do I win here? How do I win? Well, that's important, Lucy Rose, because having a 21-degree Libra midheaven means Pluto was transiting that for quite some time, changing your career, changing your view of yourself about your career, and really removing any codependent relationships that wouldn't serve you, where you were losing your power. So I think this is an important opportunity. I sometimes with the cooperative signs like Libra, Pisces, Cancer, I get this feeling of deferment of my importantness, and when I defer it, then I start to build resentment when people don't acknowledge. And that's something that we don't want to do that. We don't want to do that. Okay, let's go on to our Scorpios. Okay. Scorpio, we have the Knight of Cups. And this is very interesting to me because I always key into those little wings, and I also see the fishies. And there's a little part of me that when I look at this immediately, that's like, Scorpio, if you are, this feels very flirtatious to me, this energy. It feels like, you know, I feel like some cute little Gemini is coming up and offering Scorpio their cup of love, and they're like, "Oh, let me check that out for a little while." We got Venus in in Pisces right now, and when I see those little fish, and we know that Venus is in an urge to merge, right? And Mars co-rules Scorpio, so there could be an interesting energy of an attraction to someone, but maybe we need to give it a little bit of time to see if that attraction has any real opportunities to root, or if it is something that could be fleeting. Oops. Okay. Because that Knight of Cups is a very teenage energy. And with that comes this sort of feeling of flirtation and charm and charisma. And then once I'm like, oh, I'm totally into you, then flies away. I don't know. Let's see what the angels have to say. Ooh. All right. There's Ray as our first angel. The second is Archangel Gabriel. The third is Rosetta. And the final is Serena. Wow. A lot of Serena coming up. It really does feel that way to me. I couldn't help it. I just thought that was funny, and I wrote it in my notes. Urge to merge, especially around Valentine's Day. I'm that jaded single woman who always likes to remind people that Valentine's Day there was a massacre. The mobster massacred a bunch of people. I can't remember the story, but anyway, I'm amusing myself. Ray is being joined by the Lady of the Lake, Scorpio. Archangel Gabriel is being joined by the Transformational Death card. Rosetta is being joined by the Wasp. And the Eagle is joining Serena. Okay, I'm going to say this, and I don't know if this is going to make y'all happy, but I tend to think that there may be somebody in Scorpio's world that's just a little bit fun, flirtatious, but I can't take them too seriously. I don't know if it's a friend, a lover, a coworker, but there's just something about, being a little bit more mindful of whose cup you receive over the next week or so. And if you want to receive it, I feel like when I'm looking at this night, not only do I see those wings as kind of Geminian, I also feel like I want to give myself an opportunity to get information about this person before I move forward. Because Ray is about my own power, my connection to the other side through meditation. And I also feel like I have met men in my life. When I looked at them, I'm like, you are trouble coming. And I went over and bought that trouble in 5 seconds flat. It was charming. It was fun. It made me feel good in the moment. And it was like chocolate or something. I knew it wasn't going to be good for me, but I had to eat the whole damn bar. And Scorpio, I wonder if you don't have a little chocolate bar in your future, because I feel like there's a storm here. Like, a deeper truth, and your head's like, don't go there. And you're like, but I haven't gotten any in a long time. I need a little something, because there's just something happening here where I have a little bit of a moment. Like, if an old boyfriend shows, or an old girlfriend shows back up, or an old lover of some kind, and you already know, don't fool yourself. Don't let Venus in Pisces, create too much of a fog for you, because here is Archangel Gabriel talks about insecurity, and there's the Death card. And I could be communications, but here I think that this might be a little something where Scorpio is just, I'm just going to say it straight up. I feel like you might get mad at yourself because you have an intuitive feeling like, I shouldn't do this. This is not going to work out well for me. I know if I eat this Kool-Aid, I'm going to be sorry I did it, but you're going to do it anyway. I just feel like you're going to do it anyway. So, because here in the Angels of Advice is like this, there's this childlike cuckoo-ness here that says, I want to play in the sandbox. Thank you, Michelle. Have a wonderful, enjoy your new grandbaby. Have fun. Thank you. And there's the wasp. And I feel like you're mad at yourself a little bit because you weren't listening to yourself. You might have triggered something going on, because in the final position is Serena and the eagle. And I want to offer it this way, because if indeed you've been in a relationship that's slightly imbalanced, or some sort of situation where somebody's offering you something and there's a double-edged sword to it in some ways. It's the good news, bad news. It gives, but it takes. And part of you wants to surrender to it and you want it to give you something, then don't be mad at yourself for it, but do have the resolve to remember that an apple isn't an orange and an orange isn't an apple. And if you want an apple, buy an apple. And if you want an orange, buy an orange. Because somewhere along the line, if this other person is fun and flirtatious, but they're fun and flirtatious with many people, that just might not work for you. Or there's something that's out of alignment for Scorpio. That's the way I'm going to say it. Something tastes good in the minute, but not good at the end. So just be serene and trust. Look for integrity in your conversations and in your awareness, and trust your Plutonian inner knowing. And step back. Don't move forward unless you're willing to pay. What do they say? Do the crime, do the time. That's what they used to say when I was a kid. If you drank too much on a work night, you had to go to work anyway the next day. No calling in sick. So be mindful, Scorpio, because I just think something tempting is coming along and you already know it's not good for you. Welcome to our new person. Was it Charlie? Chaley. Welcome, Chaley, to the room. Good to see you. I hope you enjoy it here. All right. On to our Sagittariuses. We have the strength, fortitude, the gentility, the beauty and the beast. Let's see where we're going with this. That represents a Leo energy. Let's see where we're going. All right. Strength is being joined by the angel of peace, Shanti. Then we have Isabella. Then we have Teresa. And then we have Adriana. This is for Sagittarius. I don't know what CJD and Small are talking about, but if it comes to money and having a ceiling on money, I feel like there's a really good switch that to resources. Because if you switch it to resources, you may find out that, your friend comes over and loans you their lawn mower, or, a friend who knows how to work Instagram and they offer to help you with something, or, you never know where things are going to come. And when the human puts a dollar amount on it, they assess whether or not there's a viability to making that money. So those that are naturally abundant don't have a ceiling too low. And those that, so when we put the word resources on it, it helps us to invite in abundance without triggering our resistance. That's where I'm going with that. All right. Sagittarius, Shanti is being joined by the love card. Isabella is being joined by the letting go card. Teresa is being joined by the queen. And Adriana is being joined by the communications card. Wow. Okay. So the strength card also represents fortitude. It represents being able to be gentle and in some ways diplomatic with myself, calm the beast within myself as I continue to move forward beyond what I can see. And, in the major arcana cards, not all of the characters have this infinity symbol over the top of their head, but the magician does. And we saw the magician here today with Pisces. And now we see this with this female character, this infinity sign. And I feel as if this isn't about taming the beast outside of myself, but maybe taming the beast within myself. Sagittarius in the broader pictures is, who am I? What am I? Why am I here? What's the point? And there could very well have that be on the table here. We're all going through so many challenging situations, both physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and the input that's coming to us. Because Shanti, the angel of peace and the love card, is here. And I feel like the strength card is saying, continue to move forward with the idea that love and peace are coming, even if you don't feel it right this moment. Even if there's some, you're naturally, when you meet most Sagittarian people, you're kind of like the nicest people. You're like the Canadians of the zodiac. Never met a Sagittarian I don't really like. So I want to offer this because there is Isabella saying the timing is right, and the letting go card, is about fear. And so for me, this might be not necessarily one fear, but a fear about the viability of building in this current environment. Will I be able to thrive, to feel a sense of abundance? We see very much this character has abundance around her. And here in the angel's advice is about determining whether or not you're worrying about resources or you're receiving resources. The universe is a computer, and while we don't really, as humans, acknowledge that, we can acknowledge that gravity, when you throw something up, it falls down. The same law applies to the law of attraction, which is why this character has the infinity sign over her head. So whether you know it or not, whether you're connected to it or not, what goes around comes around. It never ends. It's a constant series of choices. So where I'm going with this, Sagittarius, is I think that as you focus on the things that bring you love and peace and a sense of feeling gentleness and strength, you'll start to understand that spirit is now leading you to the answers to your prayers. And part of your job is to pay attention to your communication, both to spirit, to yourself, and to those around you. I tell a lot of, especially my females, when they're having challenges with their partners, I tell them, do not go to your girlfriends and talk to them about it, because they're going to tell you, give him an ultimatum, tell him you better do this. And that doesn't work. Inspiration works always with both sexes. So here, I feel like this particular week, now let's say part of this challenge is the Venus-Mars square that's going to take place this week, mostly at like the beginning of February, those first few days of February. There's a weekly reading till February 4th. So as you're aware of that, then you can use more inspiring or more, you can sort of kind of look at it in a way like, how would I respond if I was communicating that way? Because there's something that's going to require you to continue and have fortitude beyond what you can see. And I basically think that's a taming of the beast. So we could call the beast Mars in this particular moment, and we could call Sagittarius the more loving Venusian energy. But overall, I think this is about sort of holding an awareness and not having a knee-jerk reaction to something. Because I think what you're really learning is to harness Jupiter's energy through your communication, meaning expansion, wealth, and bounty come to you as you're more aware of purporting peaceful, loving, patient energies with those that may not be patient and loving. The other day, this happened a few weeks ago now, and apparently they're very traumatizing because I don't forget them. But I was walking out of one little market here, and this guy walked by, and for random reason, I don't even know what it was, he just decided to call me an old lady. And by the time he called me an old lady, we had I followed him through the pet store parking lot, and I was going into the pet store, and this woman and her son were in their car and kind of heard this exchange. So he calls me an old lady. And rather than what I would have normally done, which is this to him, I said, you can leave the adjectives out of it, and I thought, wow, look at me, I'm evolved, because the old me and my Aries rising would have been just this, but I didn't. And I was more proud of myself than I was traumatized by his comment, although I'm still traumatized by his comment. But at the end of the day, this is where I'm going with this. The outside world will have its snarky moments. They're not done. Mars is going to continue in Gemini until, March. And at the same time, Saturn's preparing to enter Pisces. We're going to see Pluto entering Aquarius. These energies over the spring and summer are going to be so, meaning rockets into the universe. So as we are aware, then we get to choose. And therefore, in that moment, we may not change anything, but the vibrational repercussions will be changed dramatically. And here we go. Bounty, bounty, bounty. All right, our final sign is Capricorn. Yeah, had to think, where am I? All right, my Capricorns, this card is a really, really annoying card for me because it's always good news, bad news. It feels as if I can't make a decision because everything has a price to pay and everything has a reward. And now I've got to figure out which price I want to pay and which reward is the most important to me. So let's see, because as Pluto is at the late degrees of Capricorn, not only will it move to 29, the anaretic degree soon, we are in those degrees of mastering the structure of our thought. 28th degree, 29th degree. And then as we move into the 0 degree of Aquarius, this is going to be like this revolutionary mind moment, for lack of a better term. Oh, Lucy Rose, it's interesting you would say that because I have, I believe there's all sorts of different types of meditation. And I believe runners, when they get to that runner's high, I believe that is where they really start to feel that rhythm of meditation, of the movement, allowing the mind to calm. So I absolutely think physical energy helps with meditation. I think that sitting just while I do that, that's my most challenging meditation. When I'm asking to receive, because oftentimes when I receive information from spirit, I am not actually meditating. I am doing repetitive things like wiping the counter down or cleaning the tub. And that repetitiveness calms my mind down enough to have a thought come through. All right, Capricorn, decisions, decisions, decisions. What will be of the best benefit? And with this character being in the dark, it feels as if it's very Capricorny to look outside of what's going on to make that determination, whether or not what will be good for me, what won't I like. And here I feel as if all of a sudden this cup card got really clear to me. Will I choose my mind over my emotional body? Will I choose material wealth over my emotional body? Will I choose to disempower myself by not trusting my intuition? Will I choose victory while someone else dies? Will I choose to be overly protective of myself and not allow my emotional body to give me that intuitive knowing, to trust that? Capricorn might have trouble with that initially because there's so much physical earthbound duty attached to it. So here we have Indriel, the light worker. Then we have Merlina. Then we have Archangel Gabriel, and we have Uriel. All right. Indriel and the disruption card, Merlina and the letting go card, Archangel Gabriel and the wind fairy, Archangel Uriel and the goblin. All right. So, you guys have been with me for a while. When we get to the late degrees of a sign or a house, I believe we're looking, especially if we're in a whole sign, because we're looking 0 to 29 degrees. When we get to 28, 29 degrees, it's super powerful. It's really all about how I process the house, how I process the sign, and how I am now moving forward with a new awareness of as above, so below. And here now there's Capricorn. And Capricorn is like, wait a minute, I build in the material world. I'm an earth sign. I build with wood and I build with nails and glue. And now suddenly you're asking me, Capricorn, to build with my emotional body. I've been suppressing my emotional body so that I could endure the pain of physical endurance. So now here we have in the foundational position this disruption card and the light worker. Because Capricorn, you're literally being asked to disrupt that physical structure and connect more with your light body. Because all of the opportunities that lay here are literally between your physical body and your ethereal body, your light body. And Merlina talks about confusion, and then there's a letting go card. But when Merlina represents someone like the female or the I guess the feminine energy of magic, then there really is no confusion. The only confusion comes from me identifying the fears. And what does Capricorn rule? Fear. You know, it rules, if I don't follow the rules, something bad's going to happen to me. And what's happening now in the angel's advice is a double whammy on what you think. First, we see Archangel Gabriel asking Capricorn to give up their insecurities, to line up their thoughts with their dreams and their hopes. And here's the earth fairy. Here's the wind fairy, which is representing, again, thoughts and analysis in direct relation to that which what I must let go of. And that letting go isn't for me letting go, but an identification of the fears that get me. Because Capricorn, Archangel Uriel is helping you work through frustrations. And then here's the ego card. And here, what I want to say is this feels more like, it doesn't feel like the wounded ego to me as much as it feels the ego that says, if you don't do what you're supposed to do, if you're not following the rules, if you're not going to that job every day, 9 to 5, you're going to fall apart. You're going to fail. You're going to be pushing a shopping cart on the street. You're going to be filled with anger and anxiety. And I feel like this is really a beautiful opportunity for you to walk through this path and say, no, I'm not going to be victim to something else. I am going to make a choice. And that choice is to allow the light being within me to run the show of my earthly experience. It's not throwing the earthly parameters out. I'm not going to jump up and not expect to come down. That's gravity. But now I'm going to take that element of the structure of the universe and other elements, as above, so below, the law of allowing, and other of the divine laws, and make them more rooted and step in there. Because I think that Pluto might be making you a little nutty right now. You might be sitting there going, I am sick and tired of this Pluto conjunction. Get the hell off of me. I'm done. Because the conjunction is an infusion, Capricorn. So Pluto is digging down to the deepest part of your psychology and blowing it up. It's getting down into your fears of not being enough, your fears of not having enough. And at the end of the day, the thing that Capricorn gets to know is I'm a natural builder. And this is where I really think the rubber meets the road for all of us as light beings on this planet. What do I believe about what the earthly experience tells me I should be versus what my interior being tells me I know I am? So this could be a little bit of a week for you. Today, Mercury is still traversing through your house, and it will be slowly creeping up on a conjunction in the next, week or so up onto Pluto. So you could be feeling that trine to Uranus, wanting to just kind of liberate yourself from some monkey mind thoughts, some thoughts that are really thoughts that have been imprinted upon you versus inspired through you. And that's where you might be having this fight. And this is why Archangel Uriel is working with you, so you can really be more forgiving of yourself as you identify where you're edging God out through human structures that no longer serve you. Okay, that's it for this week. Again, I'm going to remind y'all, I'm not going to be live next Sunday morning. I'm going to record the show. I'm doing an event Saturday night, and I'm booked until 11 o'clock. That means I won't get home till midnight, and then I'll be up till 2 or 3 in the morning because I'll be sitting here watching bad TV, trying to go to sleep. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining me again. I love you all. Subscribe, comment. I read all the comments. I try to at least give you a little heart and let you know I saw it. I appreciate it so much. So many of you uplift me. with your comments to continue on as we build this tribe and we make this universe a better place to be in, more fun. All right, we'll see you in a couple weeks. Peace out, everybody.